Hi, it's Travis White with the Persuasive Communication Tip of the Week. My colleague Alan Pei and I teach courses on persuasive communication, and we often hear our students say, the first 3 minutes of a presentation are pure torture. Just help us get through the first 3 minutes, and then we get into the rhythm, we get into the groove, and then we're fine. So let's talk about the first 3 minutes. In fact, it's a very important topic, and I'm going to have multiple videotapes on this specific topic. Today, I'll give you 3 hints on how to get through that first 3 minutes. Those are breathe, memorize, and stabilize. So the first thing to do is remember to breathe. And I often hear people, as they step onto stage, as they step into their role as a presenter, they sound like they're out of breath. They sound like they're not breathing well. So remember to breathe. Standing straight, holding your shoulders back, opens up your chest and makes it easier to breathe. Breathe from down here. This is where your diaphragm is. This is where it pulls down, creates a vacuum, and allows the air to come in. Stand up straight, just like your mother told you. Breathe deeply. Before you walk on stage, breathe deeply a few times, just so you won't sound breathless as you start up. That will also help you calm your nerves. Good idea when you practice, before you do a rehearsal, walk up 3 or 4 flights of stairs. That'll get you slightly out of breath. You'll know what it feels like, and you'll know how to recover through deep breathing. So tip number 1 is breathe. Tip number 2 is memorize. Oftentimes, and the bigger the audience, the bigger the event, I will memorize the first 2 or 3 or 4 paragraphs of my presentation. I'll know exactly what I'm going to say when I walk on. And when you walk on, there's often something that you don't expect. There's something you're not quite prepared for. If you refer to that, you'll be thrown off. So instead, stick to the script that's in your head, know exactly what you're going to say, get through it. And like our students, once I've said those 2 or 3 or 4 paragraphs, I'm in a rhythm. I know what to do from there on. So tip number 1, breathe. Tip number 2, memorize. Tip number 3 is stabilize. And by stabilizing, I mean before the presentation, and again, the bigger the presentation, the more likely this is to happen. Before a presentation, my colleagues will often say, you know, it would be great if you talked about, or could you add in, or tonight we're going to do something special, could you add that in, could you mention that to the audience? And there's many, many good ideas that come up in the last few minutes before a presentation. So I try to stabilize, and I have an informal rule. I'll accept good ideas up to about 30 minutes before my presentation, 30 minutes before my speech. With that time, I can integrate new ideas. I can integrate those things, those last-minute tips or suggestions that really can add to the presentation, but I can also integrate them into my speech. I can memorize them if need be. After 30 minutes, don't bother me. Don't give me good ideas. Don't give me new ideas. It simply interrupts my train of thought. It simply interrupts my preparation to go on stage and do a good job. So getting through the first 3 minutes, this is our first video on the topic. Remember to breathe, stand up straight, shoulders back, breathe deeply, memorize your first 2 or 3 or 4 paragraphs, and stabilize half an hour before the presentation, half an hour before you step on stage. Don't accept any new ideas. That's the Persuasive Communication Tip of the Week. See you again next week.